I donated to this charity and I gave that homeless woman $20, so I'm going to heaven.
The last breath of your life, you're not going to regret, oh, I wish I had a bigger business. If you've seen the whole world, if you went on vacation, if you're not, you're going to regret if you didn't do the right thing with God. I wonder if I missed it. What about if God's real?
If you are lost, how do you find your way back to God?
So, Mike, we said last time that I want to know what the young people like you are thinking about God these days.
I've seen in the last, I would say, 2 years, I think the pendulum is swinging back again, more towards God and faith. I see it now more than ever, and I don't know why necessarily, but it's becoming more and more prominent to more and more people my age every day, which is really cool to see. But with that, I think also has come a lot of staged faith, if that makes sense. Where
Stage faith.
Staged faith. Yeah. And I think, although it's really good that this is happening, like church attendance is up through the roof right now, right? See churches across the country full of young people. But I do think the problem is, one, you see a lot of, I think it's due to social media and due to all these things where it's like, you see all the people with like the Bible verse in their Instagram bio, and, and they talk about it and they wear the cross, and they probably even go to church on Sunday. But as we know, and what I had to learn the hard way over the last few years, is you can do all those things and still not know Jesus.
Oh, I've known people for 25 years that they've been going to church and volunteering in church and still don't know nothing about it. You ask them, how long you been walking with God? All they can talk to me about what they've been doing in church, but they don't know God.
You go to church on Sunday and you're somebody on Sunday, right? So like on your way to church, you're listening.
You appease your conscience that you went to church.
Right. So like on Sunday, you drive to the church and you're listening to gospel music, and on the way home, you're listening to gospel music. And then Monday comes and life kind of hits you in the face again, and you don't think about it again until Sunday. And then that starts to become on a repeat, whether it be through the busyness of life, currently where your priorities are. And I do think a second problem is, I want to be careful how I say it, but I see a lot of whitewashing of Christianity in churches, where everything is always good.
Yeah, it's always good.
It's always good. And
that is a devil that brings the bad.
Right. And I understand why, because like, again, churches are a business still, right? And you want to end to the point of like, you want to bring in new people, right? That are maybe just approaching Christianity and approaching their faith, and like, you want to ease it in a little bit. But I think it becomes, when you start doing that week over week and you're more focused on that, you lose a little bit there, where it's like, you're not always talking about the reality of what the consequences are of maybe living a different way. And I think that is a little bit of a problem. It's becoming more of a problem, like the church as a business as opposed to the church as a church. And then to what we were talking about off camera too.
I did that mistake too, because I've been a pastor. And when I started out, I was so, I didn't know nothing. No, I didn't know no politics. I didn't know nothing. It was just all green. And miracles were happening and everything. And then we started to hear people that they were doing things a little different, and they were growing. And so we started to do things to grow. And that's when things start to change.
It is a tough thing, because...
And God wants us to grow. It's not that there's nothing wrong with the grow. But if you put the attention on that more, and then it's almost like, I want to grow so bad. I want my name to be known so bad. So it becomes a pride, it becomes a priority.
Sure.
And that's not God's priority no more. Instead, we should say, Lord, I don't care if they forget my name. as long as they remember you. That was the way I started my church.
And I think this is another bigger problem of my generation is, especially for newer people that are just getting back into their faith and getting back into church. I've seen a lot where a lot of people idolize the pastor more than God.
The church has developed a culture. I get saved, I have to find a church. Well, it's a nice thing to do because that's where you're supposed to learn about God. I want the priest in Italy to like me. I want the nuns to like me. I was raised with the nuns. When I got saved, 700 Club said, read the Bible so you will get to know the will of God. So you will learn how to pray. It was a good news for me. I could know the will of God because the will of God was way out there. So I had a goal in my mind. I want to know God's will because I had been religious. I had a notion of God, just like everybody else.
And whether people are conscious of it or not, because it does go both ways, too many people view going to church as checking a box, right? It's like we were saying, you check your box on Sunday and you go back to your life. I'll give you an example. I went to Zambia for 2 weeks on a mission trip. They don't have 4 walls in a church. Their church is literally sitting in a circle in the dirt.
Yeah.
Right. But I saw more conviction in the Lord there than I've seen anywhere in the United States. So it's not, the 4 walls in the church don't make that up, and that can't be your checking your box. Like it's not about that. But to your point, that is where you go to learn. And it is, you should go to church.
You should.
Absolutely, every Sunday.
A church is supposed to be a school.
Yes, but it doesn't end there.
But then after you learn, I mean, even the world is like that. You go to school, but they don't keep you in school all the time.
Right.
Then you learn what you're supposed to learn, and then you go do it. You go and practice what you learned. In the church, we never released to go do what we learned.
I went through all of this myself, and I had to learn the hard way. Where like I was the person that was going to church on a Sunday, checking my box, going home Sunday afternoon, and I'm done until next Sunday morning, right? Like not by any reason, or it's, you get busy, you have, your priorities might be a little misconstrued, and the only way to get around that is to be conscious of it, right? And it's like, you're not always going to want to pray. You're not always going to want to go to church. It's like, you have to force yourself to do it when you don't want to, because there's also something that's trying to force you not to at the same time. Right? So in learning that, like, it took me years to fully understand that. Of like, I had like not a meltdown, but I had like a moment of like, I thought I was Christian the last 2 years, right? And I thought like I was doing all the right things. And then you realize it's like, I'm saying the right things. And like, I talk about it in the right way. And like, we do the podcast, and I preach the Bible to other people, but it's like, what are you doing in the dark when it's just you?
When it's by yourself, you close the doors.
What are you doing? Like, who are you then? And I think that goes over a lot of people's head. And it's like, it's very easy. I know I said it last time, it's very easy to be a soundboard of the Bible. It's very easy I can read it and I can memorize it and I can understand it and I can tell people about it, but that doesn't mean I'm living in that way. And it took me to understand, like, what changed my mind about everything is somebody asked me, like a mentor of mine asked me, he's my pastor. And it's like, if somebody that was not Christian watched you for 24 hours, followed you for 24 hours.
He's a smart man.
I said, if somebody followed you for 24 hours, would they find Jesus themselves? Sometimes you're the Bible for somebody.
Yes.
Right?
I learned more by my parents' action than what they were saying.
Right. So if I wake up in the morning and I follow you from the time you wake up, from your kitchen to work to your phone screen to the time you go to bed, am I going to find Jesus in the way that you live your life? And like, that question to me was, and then you kind of think about yourself and it's like, no.
That's why the young people don't want to come to the Lord, because the young people that I talk to, They said, oh, we turned off because my parents, they were one way in church, another way at home.
Mm-hmm.
They are marked in their mind which one we believe, the one that my mother's home, when she's home, or the one when she's in church. They're confused. My children, when they went to college, they said that the other colleagues, they were all Roberts University, a Christian college. Some parents don't want to take time themselves with their kids, and they send them to Christian college. They hope that the Christian college is going to train them up. But they were the troublemakers in the college, because when my kids asked them, the kids, they were telling them, we've seen our parents argue all the time at home, cussing at each other, but then they would go to church and raise their hands. And we're so confused. We don't know which one is the truth. So it's still the same way?
Yeah, that it is the exact same way. And unfortunately, I do think it'll always be that way. To the point of a staged faith, like I think a lot of people come to Christianity for the wrong reasons in the beginning, which kind of leads them astray a little bit. And what I mean by that is, maybe you weren't Christian, maybe you were agnostic, whatever your situation was before, and you see somebody like you, right, that is very Christian. It's like I want that faith. I want the peace in the faith of how calm and how everything, you know what I'm saying? And it's, you go to find that, and you think that becoming Christian is going to make your life easier, but it's actually the opposite.
It's not the opposite. It's because your own flesh resists discipline. The first giant that you're going to kill, it's going to be your own flesh, because it's undisciplined.
Right.
Now you're going to discipline your flesh, you're going to discipline your mind, and it's going to take a little time, and it's going to feel like the things that you used to do before, you didn't even know they were sin.
That's why I think it's the opposite, because once you start going down this path and you realize all these things that, before you just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right? Any desire you have, it's I'm going to go for it. Right? It doesn't matter. And then once you realize it's oh man, all these things that I desire, all these things that I want, I have to stop doing these things. And then that's where you get the staged faith. That's why I consider staged faith, because yes, those people believe in, yes, they're doing this things right on Sunday, but it's not strong enough to stop what you're doing Monday through Saturday that is wrong. And then that's where I'd have a question for you. So it's one thing to sin when you don't know it's wrong. What is it to sin when you know that it is wrong? What is the difference with that?
The difference that now you're accountable. But the good news is that once you examine yourself and say, Lord, I know I did this. I sinned against myself and against you. So I want to make it right.
How do you find your way back to God?
If you have a best friend that betrayed you, it hurts. But if that best friend comes back to you and says, I was so total jerk by doing that to you, I am so sorry. I wish I could make it up to you. How would you feel? You have no problem forgiving if that person admits. At the same way as God.
I've seen it and I've heard it, and I know this and I've felt it myself, and I've thought these things to myself of oh, he doesn't want me. Look at all the things I've done. Look what I still do on a day to day. And even to the point where I said, the first few years back into faith, I admittedly now looking back, I was doing it wrong. Right. And it's the idea that we're talking about now of what is it to sin when you know it is wrong and to continue to do it.
There's a place in the Bible where Peter is asking Jesus. He says, Jesus, how many times I have to forgive if somebody does wrong to me? 7 times a day? And God said, 7 times 7. In other words, it's a continuation.
Right.
So I thought, if a human being has to forgive 7 times 7, how much more God is so willing to forgive me? the only way that he cannot forgive if we don't come to our sense. So we are on our own.
And I think that is very important to understand that, and to understand that you cannot find your way back to God based on the works that you do. Right? Like, you can be like, well, I donated to this charity, and I gave that homeless woman $20, and I always open the door for people, and it's like, so I am going to heaven. It's like, it can't be based on your works. If it was based on your works, where's the line? If I held one more door open for somebody, then I'd make it to heaven. But if I held one
God
less
sees
door,
what's going on in the inside,
Right.
not the things you do on the outside.
right? So yeah,
I'm not saying that doing good is not good. It's not
Sure.
right. You want to do what's right because of the appreciation that you have for God and what He's done for you. See, in the Old Testament, they were buying and earning their salvation by doing the good things. And that's where the Pharisees came in. And God said, you're washing the cup on the outside to look good, but inside you're full of like your vipers.
I think what it comes down to, or at least in my personal experience, what it came down to for me is you have to make a decision.
Yes. God will never make the choice for you.
Yep.
He gave us the word. He said, you choose.
There's an analogy that changed my whole perspective. I heard it like a couple years ago. And basically, like, a guy, wakes up in a field, and there's a fence in the middle of the field. On one side of the fence is God. On one side of the fence is the devil. And he's standing there, and the devil's talking to him, and he's like, come with me. You can have all that you want. I will give you everything that you want right now. Anything that you desire, you just have to come with me. But if you don't come with me, you get none of it. And he's sitting there and he's like, man, well, there's a lot of things that I want, right? There's a lot of things I desire. There's a lot of things I enjoy that I can get anything I want right now. He's like, but you look at God, and he's like, but God, it's so good and it's so beautiful. And like, I want to have a relationship with you too. And God's not saying anything. Only the devil's talking to him. And he's like, you know what? I'm not going to choose. And he sits on the fence and he's laughing. And he's like, at God, at the devil, and he's like, I'm not going to choose, and I'm going to get a little bit of both. I want a little bit of you, devil, because I want everything I want, and then I want a little bit of God because I believe in it and I want to go to heaven. So I'm going to sit right in the middle, and it goes dark. And then out of the dark comes the devil, and he's like, no. Like, I didn't choose you, right? I sat on the fence. I'm in the middle. I want a little bit of you, and I want a little bit of him, and I'm not choosing. Yeah. And he grabs him, and in the story, like, the devil, grabs him by the arm. And he says, I own the fence.
Right? Not making the choice you chose.
I own the fence. So it's like sitting in the middle and not making a decision and trying to live both ways and trying to be the person.
That God called it, when Jesus took me to heaven, he called them closet Christian.
Closet Christian.
Closet Christian. They don't want to shake the boat.
Yep.
They don't want to hurt no feelings. So they mind their business. They're just saved, and they mind their business, and that's it.
Well, to me, the analogy of sitting on the fence is the stage face, the checking the box on Sunday person.
Yes.
Right, and that was me for a long time, and I still battle that now. Like, sometimes, like, you're never going to be perfect. It's a lifelong fight.
Yes.
And like, some weeks I'm really good. Some weeks I let life get ahead of me.
Yeah.
And it's just the importance is always coming back to this.
A righteous man falls 7 times and he gets up again.
Yes.
But an unrighteous man falls and never gets up again. Thank God we know the truth.
Yeah. You have to keep coming back.
Yeah.
Right? You're always going to, for as long as you live, for the rest of your life, you're going to make mistakes.
Yes.
You're not that strong. Your flesh isn't that strong. Right? But it's the importance of always coming back to the heart place of like, what is the most important thing to me? Like, and I know you understand with running businesses, like, we run a business, and it's like, it takes all of your time.
Yes.
But is that more important to you? Is what you're doing on earth right now more important to you? So it's like, you have to be able to sit with your thoughts long enough to think this through and make this decision of like, yes, all of these things are so good right now, right? Like, whatever sin, whatever your vice is, like, it's so hard to break. But at the same time, it's like you have to make a choice. You can't have that end God and salvation. You can't.
But then the business becomes your God.
If you are lost, how do you find your way back to God?
There's always a way back. All it takes to examine yourself and say, Lord, I did it again. But I know you're merciful. And I want to come back. And I know that I'm going to try my best not to do it again. I'm going to try my best to live for you. It may last 2 days, it may last 3 days, whatever it may, but keep coming back.
Keep coming back. That's what he says, right? Return to me.
Return to me. That's the only way to live, really, because then now you have a hope. The last breath of your life, you're not going to regret. Say, oh, I wish I had a bigger business. You're going to regret if you didn't do the right thing with God. Even the sinners, when they die, they say, I wonder if I missed it. What about if God's real? A long time ago, I went to see Godfather.
Great movie.
And at the end, the Godfather said he was dying, and he said, if there is a God, my own heart has deceived me.
And I think that, not always, but just generally, the road to heaven feels like hell and the road to hell feels like heaven, right? Like in a sense of the devil, again, not to keep using analogies, but this is from a movie that I saw, right? And it is a guy walks in and he's talking to this old lady, like very old, like 90s with dementia, and she's kind of sitting in a chair and he's looking at her and he's like, you've done the right thing your whole life. You've been faithful. You follow God. You've done the right thing your entire life. And look at you. You are sitting here. You have dementia. You can't remember anything. And look at me. I'm a terrible person. And my life is great. I have everything I want. I have all the money and I have all these things. And it's like, so how can you stay so convicted? And she kind of just like turns to him and it's like, and she says something along the lines of, sometimes the devil will allow people to live a life without problems because he doesn't want you turning to God.
This fits my experience. I went to church finally after 3 years because I couldn't find a church. Every church I went, God would say to me, you're not going to learn what I want you to learn here. So anyway, 3 years, God was not in a rush of me finding a church. For 3 years, me and the Bible. And I got to know God really good. So now I went, after so long, 3 years, I found this church. It was a little church, and I was learning so much over there at this little church. I thought I knew already because I had read the Bible so many times from cover to cover. The pastor said, Moses saw God. He saw the glory of God, but he wanted more of God. And so the way he was talking about the glory of God, it got me so excited, and everybody, I think. I went home and I talked to God about it. I said, well, you showed yourself to Moses. So I'm going to go to bed and you come in my dream and show me your glory. I woke up at 6 o'clock and nothing, no dream, nothing. So I sat up in bed and I'm talking to God about it. And I said, God, you said to ask. I did. I asked you to show me your glory. You didn't. No dream, nothing. And I heard a voice from behind me. And he said, if you strip yourself of any fleshly desire and put on Christ, you will see my glory. And I said, how do I do that? And the voice chuckled and said, how did you get saved? He said, you believed what the preacher said. You said words and salvation was made available to you. I said, simple as that? I got to say it? He said, yes. So I said, I stripped myself of any fleshly desire to put on Christ. Once I said that, Jesus was right there. And right there, the devil comes. He stood between Jesus and I. Jesus was standing in the air, and the devil was like a young man, and he said, do not listen to him, to Jesus. He said, you listen to me. and I'll give you all this. And I said, God has met all my needs. Why do I need all that? I said all this to say, not every blessing out of God. Because the devil want to give me way more. So many people make an exchange for God, and then they think that all those blessings it's from God.
Yep.
But those blessings, they're keeping them blind. It's always the blessing that ruined the people of Israel.
Interestingly enough, the 2 times in my life that I felt closest to God was when I was in a situation where I had no ego left, right? So the first time, both recently actually, the first time was I was on the mission trip in Zambia and just seeing just the horrific things over there. But although all the horrific things are like these kids have no food, no water, no house, no parents, there's no education, there's no clothes, but their conviction in the Lord was more than any conviction I've seen in my life. Anywhere in America, like they're still so happy. And it's like, I would have to go back to like where I was sleeping every night and I would just cry and be like, how ungrateful am I? Right where you get your ego just completely stripped from you. That was the first time. And the second time was literally 2 weekends ago when I ran the race, 102 miles. And by the time you're 80 miles in, like there's nothing left. You're broken and you're crying and everything hurts. And it's like in those moments are where I felt closest to God.
God don't want you like that all the time.
No.
Because you're no good to him.
Right.
You're helpless all
I'm
the
broken,
time.
right? Yeah.
And broken.
Yeah.
3 John 2 said, I wish, he said, that you would prosper in all things and being helped. As in one condition, that your mind would prosper along your prosperity.
Is there anything else you want to say to people that might be struggling with their faith right now, might feel a little lost and not really sure where to go from here?
Well, God is one breath away. It just takes a decision and say, God, I missed it. I missed it. I want to come back. And you are a merciful God. I'm reading the word. I'm hearing that you're a merciful God. I want to come back. And God will take you back and say, the prodigal son, he had hurt the father. He left. He went to waste all his inheritance. The father must have worked very hard, And but the father, what did he do? When he came to his sense, he ran and went to meet him. And that's what God does. He said, you draw near me, I'll come and run after you. And so that's the conclusion of our program, that there is always hope.
There is always hope.
Amen.
Amen.
We want you blessed, highly favored, empowered to prosper. And not just in this life to prosper, but prosper over there for all eternity. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.